One person with me. Who you be? Nathan. Hello, Nathan. How are you? Hello, Jeremy. How you doing? Good day. Hello, Freddie. It makes my week when I know Jeremy's got the kids. How are we doing? Hello, Adam. How are you? How is everybody? Good to see you too, my friend. I now have a wide collection, a vast collection of photographs of VIPs. Hello, Mr. Donovan. VIPs in their TSW t-shirts. So my wall will soon be full of them. I'm very, very proud of them. Carlos. Right, everyone, we've been waiting for him. He's finally here. Hello, Carlos. How are you? Just watched the latest unboxing video, so very, very good indeed. Thanks from Freddie and Alana. No, you do. It makes my day. Makes my day when I know the kids are there. Awesome. I have an important question for everybody this evening. I am trying to make a huge decision about Talk Star Wars, and I'm going to need some input. So wait until the numbers get up a little bit, and then we'll ask that. Rob's on as well. Hello, Rob. TSW from Carlos. TSW Comics was a cracking show. We need more Tim. Incredible show. Best one so far. No jokes. Thank you, Carlos. I knew Tim would be a valuable ad because Nathan says, I just ate a Big Mac, now I'm preparing to die. Hello, Rob, you right? Yeah, Carlos, I knew Tim would be a good ad to TSW Comics because it gives Rob Cast somebody to bounce off of, somebody that knows more about comic books and is more up to speed. And then I do a little bit more moderating and struggle less to keep up with Rob Cast, who is obviously an aficionado. And I had a blast. Tim is just such a wonderful guy. He's really lovely, a lot of fun to chat to, really knows his stuff, and it was just the chemistry was fantastic. So thank you. That feedback means a lot, and I'm hoping Rob and I have invited Tim to come back as often as he wants to come on every month if he likes. I think that would be really a really valuable ad. Yeah, he's a good guy. I heard Kyle on his show. I heard Kyle on the Nerd Room today. Yeah, amazing chemistry. Yeah, and do you know what? It's the easiest podcasting session because you've got two podcasters, two showrunners who know what they're doing. So it just makes for such plain sailing, and then editing, no editing to speak of. It's just everyone hits the ground running, knows exactly what they're doing. It's brilliant stuff. Thank you, Adam. Very kind. Have you watched Have you watched Suicide? This is from Alana. Have you watched Suicide Squad? Who's your favourite character? Mine is Harley Quinn. How could it not be Harley Quinn? Margot Robbie is absolutely stunning. I have seen the film. It wasn't my favourite, but yeah, I'd agree. Harley Quinn, standout. Absolute standout. Has Freddie seen that film? It seems like that might be a bit scary for Freddie. And Jeremy. And is it too scary for Daddy? I was putting together chop rules with a Z. Oh, Corey, how are you, sir? That chopper t-shirt I did for you this week. What I should have done is I should have done a tutorial as I was making that t-shirt, because I thought this is going to be straightforward. What a nightmare. Hardest one I've done. Oh, Freddie has watched Suicide Squad. Mind you, I suppose it's a bit like us watching Ghostbusters when we were kids. Corey, did you and Kyle come to an agreement over the X-Wing, Luke X-Wing? Oh, Adam says he's a massive Marvel Comics reader and has a large collection. I have a fair stack, but my knowledge of Star Wars Marvel Galaxy is vintage, 76 to 84. I've got framed on my wall. I've got a 1980 Star Wars Weekly, the only one that survived my flood. Hello, Ads. How you doing? Yeah, Corey says the t-shirts are awesome. Keep them coming. Great mashups. I'm loving it. Yeah, Corey says no movement on the X-wing Luke figure. That's not going to happen, mate. It is not going to happen. What you should both do is get your wheels locked down tight and leave each other some stuff, and then go and hire hitmen. I did not just make that suggestion. I'll get that Goonies t-shirt done, Corey, and I've got another idea as well for a Rebels mashup tee, which I'll see if I can get done over the weekend. Adam, Poppy doing well. Okay. She's on restricted walks, so she's got more energy than I've ever seen, and she's climbing the walls. But she cried out in a bit of pain yesterday with her hip. We've got to go back on, or she goes back on Wednesday to see the vet. So hopefully she'll be back to her normal self very soon. Hopefully. Right, what did I miss? Jeremy, when is Echo Base live? Oh, Freddie, when is Echo Base live? I'm reliably informed that Echo is on the 14th of October. Is that right? That's not right, is it? I don't think. Oh, yes. Is it right? I'm not sure. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I think she'll be all right. I think she'll be okay. It's a bit worrying because I don't know why. She's only 6. I'm not sure what's caused the problem. I hope it's not sort of overdoing it. I do run her around a lot. But her downtime has led to me spending more time recording in the studio, so it's helped me get my head around doing the Kessel Run on my own like this, which is weird, just sitting and recording on my own. I don't know why it's easier to do when I'm on the go, but it is. Rob asked what kind of pup is she. She's a Sprocker Spaniel, so she's a cross between a Springer Spaniel and a Cocker Spaniel, both gun dogs, but the Cocker side makes her really small and the Springer side makes her really crazy. Ads hopes that Steve is on fire again this week. Ads, you really set him off last week. It was hard work, like herding cats. In fact, the opposite to the experience I had on TSW Comics this week, I have to say. It is very, very difficult. Podcasting with Steve should be a category in the podcast awards on its own. Right, Adam's got Springers and Cockers. 14 and made a hardy stuff. Yeah, Dave says when the dogs are cooped up, they can get a little bit destructive. She's really well behaved, actually. She's quite disciplined. She knows what's hers and what isn't hers. At the moment, it's difficult to, we've been asked to sort of keep her off the sofa and off the bed so that she's not jumping up great heights and things. That's impossible. But she doesn't really chew stuff up. She doesn't take what isn't hers, and she's quite well behaved. But when she's not stimulated, she's a really smart dog. When she's not got something to occupy her, she gets bored, and sometimes just stands in the middle of the room just looking at me. And I'm wondering if she's waiting for me to have a heart attack. Yes, Freddie says he's going to Echo Base. I know, you're part of the team. Wear your t-shirt. Yeah, Dave says there was 4 different conversations going on at once, a couple of stages in last week's show or the one before. Yeah, you're getting more content for your money. And we try and squeeze 2 shows together simultaneously. It's a perk. Honestly, I think Steve, he knows more than he lets on. But he makes spontaneity and. Did I like the spicy Ron Howard pick? Yes, I did. The Spice Mine. That's in the show notes. All the lads on fizzy drinks. Yeah, it's yeah, it's a challenge. It is hard to manage sometimes. Out of interest, has anyone been seeing the artwork that's going up on the YouTube versions of the show? I don't know. I think you all listen to it in iTunes, don't you? But we've got a couple of people outside the VIP program that only consume the show through YouTube. And so I had to redesign the thumbnails. I got some advice and redesigned the thumbnails recently. They look fantastic. Nathan says, disappointed by the Kessel pick. Pretty much confirms the Kessel run, which I'd hope they'd leave alone. Yeah, I guess you're right, Nathan. Dave says, always admire the lack of swearing. I curse naturally, constantly. You guys do a great job of reining that in. Yeah, that was a conscious decision because, like now in the live, we've got Jeremy's key and Alana, and we know that Jonas is in the group as well. So the idea is to try and keep the main show as PG as possible, and not, you know, there are plenty of Star Wars podcasts out there where the language is blue, and we want to be something different. Obviously, the guys think it's sport to just sort of drop the odd F-bomb in there, and I have to make time codes and try and find it and bleep it out so that we can retain our PG status. After Dark Side's for that, we let it all out there. And Rob says he has to physically make an effort not to swear also. I don't mind it. I'm not prudish, and you know, if you hear the Dark Side, I can swear as good as anyone, but it's that's not what I want the podcast to be. And now we've also put an explicit warning tag on the After Dark Side when it goes into YouTube, so people know to avoid it if they're sensitive to that sort of things. And I'll still bleep out the premium swear words. I don't want to go too far with it. Okay, Ads. Right, Ads, you're setting me up nicely here, sir. Ad says, is there any way the Kessel could be in iTunes, or is that more troublesome for you? I tend to miss it as I listen to podcasts travelling to and from work. Yeah, and Dave says about swearing in the thing. Right, look, this is the situation I'm in at the moment. I know it's difficult for people to get. I make every effort to try and make the Kessel run available to everybody, putting it into the Facebook group. Hello, Andy, how are you? I put it into the Facebook group, I email it to everybody, and it's sitting there on the site. And I understand it's difficult for everybody to get hold of it. I'm trying to find a reliable way to get the Kessel run out there. Now, what I am planning to do, I've got a couple of options. I can upgrade the site plan so that I can break off a couple of additional RSS feeds, so I can get the Daily Toy podcast into iTunes, and I can get the Kessel run out on an RSS feed that you guys can then pick up in your podcatchers. I don't want to put the Kessel run into iTunes because it's only for you. It's only for the VIPs. It's not for the public. If I go public with the Kessel run, and if you guys wanted me to go public with the Kessel run and release it, I could do that. And I could speak to Blog Talk Radio about giving me another feed, and I could make the Kessel run public, but I want that to be a perk just for the VIPs, really. So I can upgrade the site, get another RSS feed so you guys can get it in podcatchers, but not in iTunes. The Daily Toycast, that will go into iTunes. The other option is to migrate the VIP program wholesale to Patreon. I've been talking to Carl. He's been giving me some advice about Patreon. I've set up a Patreon account. It's all good to go. I just need to know from you guys if you want me to migrate the VIP program across to Patreon, and that means doing it completely. So everything will come out through Patreon. All the priority release podcasts, the Kessel run, your newsletters, everything will come out through Patreon. So it was going to mean when we move it, everyone's going to need to follow. And anyone that doesn't follow will just drop out of the VIP program. I don't want to cause problems. So what is the best way for me to handle this? Would you rather it stay as it is? Carlos likes a Patreon idea. Do you think I should put a poll into the Facebook group so that you can all vote on it? I know that there's a couple of people in there who have bought the annual pass, the season pass. So Carlos is already there for tumbling bumblers. Yeah, I know. The people that have bought the season pass, I'll have to refund them, and they'll come across. See, I don't know which way to do this for the best now. I really didn't want to do Patreon, but now I think it might be the best way for the VIP program to grow. Adam says, I think the Great Kessel runs we get daily being available in 3 ways: Facebook group, email and website is more than enough, I think personally, and should stay as it is. Andy Smith says, I don't mind as long as I'm supporting. Thank you, Andy. Dave says, I think Patreon is only early days and a work in progress in its setup. I'd say hang on before you switch, if it ain't broke and all that. See, there is a way I can do it and keep it in-house. It means upgrading the site, which I can do, and give you an RSS feed. So those like ads you were saying you'd like to get that in your, I know you said iTunes, but in your podcatcher. So it will pick up the RSS feed in your app and download automatically every day. I can do that. I just can't do it at the moment because I don't have the space available to me in RSS form. Ad says, sounds like a lot of hard work for you, bud. Not at all. Carlos says, if it'll help you grow the podcast and the VIP group, do it. That's exactly what he was going to say. And Adam says, I don't mind it, honestly, as long as I'm supporting TSW. And Ed says, any way to download and listen off Wi-Fi, etc. Andy's got to go. He's got to be a daddy tonight. Thanks for stopping in, Andy. Always good to see you, mate. Nathan says he supports Tumbling Saber, making Star Wars and Steel Wars on Patreon. It's much more convenient. Yeah, I'm getting that from a couple of people, Nathan, but there's a couple that seem to be a little bit hesitant. So I think I'm going to open it up to a vote in the group so that those who want to do it, we can move forward with it. What I think I'll do is I'll pop that before we start recording tonight. I'll pop a poll in the group, and then we'll have a look and see how far it goes. Daddy says he doesn't know what Patreon is. That's Alana. I'm not surprised. Yeah, Adam says try a poll and see how it looks at the end of it. Okay. I might mention it on tomorrow's Kessel run as well. I just don't want to. I don't want to inconvenience some people for the benefit of others. Either way, you know. Tricky one. Laughing faces. The one thing I was thinking about, because like I say, I've set the Patreon up. It's all good to go. It's just pulling the trigger on it now. The one thing I was thinking of doing was they give you the opportunity to do a video explaining what your Patreon is, and the idea would be, because we're all in this together, that we'd record it together. So it would be a Facebook live session like this, so that I can deliver my spiel to camera and keep all the comments on screen. So when you watch the videos back, I don't know what you can see at the moment, but when you watch the videos back on YouTube, the way I record through the app, I get all your questions and comments overlaid on top of the screen. So all the little love hearts and smiley faces and shocked faces that pop up, like this one now, they'll all be on there. So when I'm doing the VIP video on Patreon, you can all be a part in it, and you can tell people why they should join and what they'll be in for, all on a Facebook Live. I think that could be a lot of fun, because it will show what's at the heart of the whole VIP program, and that's this community of people. It's not about the content, and it's not about Alana saying that was us. You keep doing it, kids. It's awesome. It's not necessarily about the content you get, or the fact that you get some content early. It's really the heart of this thing is the community of friends, global community of friends, which I think is really special. So the video I do for the Patreon campaign will be us doing it together. So we'll schedule it ahead of time so everyone knows that they can be available. And we'll do this, we'll do a bit to camera, and you guys can all throw out your comments, and I'll read your comments into the camera, you know, so that people can see. But Adam, if you were going to explain what you get out of the VIP program, I'll then read it. Yeah, Carlos says he gets the trepidation about alienating the VIPs. Either way, I'm here to stay. That means the world to me, Carlos. Thank you so much. It is important to me that people don't feel. I don't want it to change around people. I want it to change with people. I want you to be a part of it as it changes, because I don't want anyone just saying, "Do you know what, this isn't for me anymore," and going, because that's not what I want. That's not what we're trying to build. Part of the Patreon is I've set goals, not in terms of income, but in terms of the amount of supporters we get. And I have an idea in mind that when we get to a certain level, it will trigger an extra show. Or we get to a certain level, it will trigger a call-in show. And then we get to a certain threshold of patrons, and it will trigger the next podcast, which might be a show dedicated to Rebels, which will be a watch-along from episode 1. And then when we get to the next goal, it will trigger another podcast, which will be not just a one-off podcast, a series. That will be the next level will trigger the next podcast, which will be Clone Wars. So then we'll have 2 more major shows on the TSW feed once we get to that goal, which will all fit into my long-term plan. Ad says you've come a long way. It seems like that to you, Ads, because you've been around since the start, mate. You've helped build it, so yeah. Rebels would be good from the start. That's the thing. The idea of Talk Star Wars is not about having a group of Star Wars experts that get together to discuss the minute detail. It's about having a group of Star Wars fans from all walks of life, with all sorts of backgrounds and all sorts of history with the franchise. And if people are just jumping on, that's the idea of TSW Comics. If they're just jumping into fandom, they just want to start reading comics, they can join us because we're entry level stuff. The same with Rebels and the same with Clone Wars, is it will be entry level stuff. So if you're just coming to that and you want to start and you want a group of people that you can watch along with and talk to about it, it'll be TSW Rebels and TSW Clone Wars. Rob says, to echo Carlos, wherever you guys go, I'm going to end up following for the continuous high quality content, not to mention all the magnificent folks already in the group. Rob, thank you so much. Heartfelt, thank you. That's a wonderful comment. Alana wants to know what my favourite Star Wars film is. Well, my favourite Star Wars film is Empire Strikes Back. Everybody else, we've got a couple of minutes. Feel free to sound off about your favourite Star Wars film for Alana. Adam says, I think we are blessed. And I, for one, am very grateful that you share these future ideas so that we all feel very much a part of TSW. It's a group of fans everywhere. I've lost the rest of the comment, unfortunately, on the screen, and I'm not sure what will happen if I expand that, so I'm not going to do it. But, Adam, the reason you all feel, hopefully everyone agrees, the reason you should feel like you are a part of TSW is because you are a part of TSW. And it's not just about, like Adam, you and I do the coffee mornings together, and a handful of other people here this evening are all in various podcasts around the TSW thing. But like I say, it's not necessarily about the content, it's about the content, it's about the community. And you are very much a part of the community. And that's what this has become. It wasn't something that I planned or designed or even dared to hope for, but we've got a community of people together now. We're all a part of it. I just don't make decisions about what happens. I'll always sound off to you guys and ask, especially when it affects what we do together every day when we get into this group. Ed says, I finally got around to listening to the Empire Strikes Back episode today, though not watching along. Made me want to watch it this weekend. That's cool. All the little insights were ace. Excellent, thank you. I'm planning. I think I've said this before. We'll aim to complete the Star Wars movies and then go on to other movies. But I want to go back and revisit the Star Wars movies. Like when we've done Rogue One, we want to go back and do A New Hope again. And A New Hope will be viewed through the prism of having just watched Rogue One. A New Hope will be viewed through the prism of Rogue One. You know what I'm trying to say. Andy Smith, Alana, Andy's favourite film is Return the Jedi. Dave Donovan says his favourite film is Caravan of Courage. I think he might be joking. Jeremy says his is The Force Awakens. Nathan says his is Return the Jedi. Andy Smith says TSW for life. Thank you, Andy. Ad says Return the Jedi, probably. And Dave says Force Awakens is certainly up there. Force Awakens is up really high for me as well. But Empire is, depending on what mood you catch me in, is my favourite. It could also be A New Hope. Right, I've got to go. Okay, listen, I've got to go. You guys, you're fantastic. Thank you so much for being supportive and your thoughtful comments. I'm going to put the poll. Oh, Alana, Adam says A New Hope is his favourite. I'm going to put the poll in the group now before we start recording the podcast. Okay, so you can all have your say about whether or not we migrate over to Patreon. No one's going to get ripped off. If you've bought the annual pass, the season pass, I'll refund you and we'll start from scratch. Okay, it's not going to be an issue at all. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for all these love hearts. That's crazy. All right, have a good evening, everyone, and we're going to head off now and do a thing. I'll see you all. Well, I'll speak to you all tomorrow on the Kessel Run. Have a good one, everybody. Look at those hearts. I'll see you later. Cheers.